committed to advance the national democratic revolution. Over the course of the NGC, delegates engaged in robust and constructive debates on the state of the movement in our country and the challenges facing young people. The resolutions adopted are clear programs of action that will define the work of the ANC moving forward. On youth unemployment, a national disaster. The NGC declared youth unemployment as a national disaster. In just 2 months, over 200, mainly young people, have lost their jobs. With only about 16 million South Africans employed and paying taxes, while more than 24 million depend on social grants. This threatens the fabric of our society. The NGC expressed deep concerns about the ongoing wave of retrenchment by companies across sectors, from the mining to retail, including major employers such as Sibaya Stillwater, ArcelorMittal, Telkom, Pick and Pay, Coca-Cola, which worsen this crisis and leave communities devastated. The ANC Youth League rejects the profit-driven logic of companies that abandon workers while protecting executive bonuses. Urgent state intervention is required to defend jobs and industrialize the economy and protect young workers from being discarded as casualties of corporate greed. The ANC Youth League demands urgent intervention to combat youth unemployment, includes a state industrialized program that protects and creates jobs, expand access to funding and skills programs for young entrepreneurs and young people in general, ban on foreign exploitation of township economies, which includes spaza shops, saloons, tech shops, must belong to only South Africans. A radical program of land distribution and agricultural support for farmers. On local government and elections and service delivery, the NGC reaffirms that service delivery remains the cornerstone of building confidence in the ANC amongst our people. Delegates emphasize that the Youth League must drive accountability to ensuring that every councillor, mayor delivers tangible improvement in the lives of our communities. The NGC resolved that the ANC Youth League must vigorously contest all wards in the upcoming local government elections, with a clear emphasis on ensuring that the youth and women are fitted as the ward councillors to advance inclusivity, renewal, and generational mix in leadership. It was further resolved that ANC ward councillors who are performing well and have demonstrated accountability in their communities must be protected and retained. ANC councillors who are performing well must be protected and retained, while underperforming councillors should be replaced with capable young leaders and women committed in advancing service delivery. Delegates also highlighted that the ANC-led municipalities which are performing well must be recognized and be celebrated as a model of people-centered governance. For example, the city of Ekurhuleni in Gauteng was ranked one of the most performing metro municipalities in South Africa and the top Gauteng in 2024 Clean Governance Performance Index, recognizing it as a service delivery and governance despite operating under challenging conditions. In Limpopo, the city of Polokwane is also consumed for 100% spending of their budget. On water, the city of Polokwane has been commended for 100% spending of the water service infrastructure grant and maintaining an unqualified audit outcomes and advancing a digital innovative governance, while Lepelle Nkuni municipality has been recognized for sustaining a clean financial audit and avoiding wasteful expenditure. Beyond this, Capricorn District Municipality in Limpopo, African Zoo Municipality in the Eastern Cape, Plixilgasim District Municipality in Northern Cape, eThekwini Municipality in KwaZulu-Natal continue to expand access to clean water and sanitation infrastructure and community services. These municipalities prove that where ANC deployees are committed and accountable, and people-centered service delivery thrives, and lives are positively impacted. The NGG salutes these municipalities and calls for their successes to be amplified and amplified across the country so that every community experiences the impact of effective ANC leadership. Water is a human right. The ANC Youth League has reaffirmed that access to water, reliable water, is a constitutional right and not a privilege. We note with concern that millions of South Africans, particularly in rural and township communities, continue to struggle with limited and unsafe water supply due to power infrastructure and corruption, mismanagement, the commodification of water where industries and elites enjoy reliable supply while the poor are left behind, undermines both human rights and national development. The ANC Youth League calls for an urgent investment in water infrastructure, strict action against corruption in water boards and municipalities, especially those that close water in the interest of water tankers at the expense of our people. We want a people-centered approach to water that prioritizes dignity and health and equality. On education, expanding access and the fight for fighting against exclusion. The NGC welcomed the announcement of a new university in Ekurhuleni, calling for its urgent implementation as a hub focused on social and science and technology. In line with the 2021 declaration, the ANC Youth League also calls for a fast tracking of the TUT Sekhukhune campus to expand access to higher education for the youth in rural areas. The NGC further resolved that existing universities should establish campuses closer to townships and rural communities, ensuring that more students who meet entrance requirements can access quality tertiary education despite limited spaces and funding. We also resolved that the blacklisting of students who owe fees must be cancelled immediately. The cruel practice of punishing students for structural inequalities denies them future opportunities. The ANC Youth League will intensify the fight to ensure that no student is excluded from education due to poverty, crime, and gender-based violence. The NGC noted with alarm the rise of crime and drug abuse and culture of violence across communities. The youth resolved to reclaim our streets from drug dealers, organized crime, working with communities to restore safety. Gender-based violence, and the NGC declared that South Africa can no longer treat the rape and killing of women and children as a business as usual. The ANC Youth League demands that rapists and murderers faces the harshest punishment with no parole, and the justice must protect victims. The NGC also resolved to confront the crisis of teenage pregnancy and declared that kids cannot be raising kids. Every teenager must be in a classroom, not trapped in the cycle of poverty. Those who prey on minors must be jailed with no return to our communities. On the issue of the Maganga Commission of Inquiry, the ANC Youth League welcomes the consignment of the Maganga Commission of Inquiry and the important work it has undertaken to expose entrenched crime syndicates, procurements of cartels and corruption networks that have systematically looted the state resources, undermined the service delivery. The Commission's hearing have already revealed how criminal syndicates infiltrated state institutions and how politicians, officials, and business figures collided to defraud the public purse. We also know the serious allegations raised to the Commission, including those against a DAMP, which we see the media does not say DAMP. When is a DAMP? They say MP. When is an ANC MP? They say ANC MP. Now the inconsistencies, we're watching them closely, which confirms the extent in which corruption and criminality cut across political lines. The ANC Youth League emphasizes that such commissions are not an end to themselves, but an instrument to restore justice. We therefore call for their findings to be acted upon decisively. And South Africans cannot afford another commission whose report cannot dust while perpetrators continue to enjoy impunity. We look forward to the arrest and trials that will ensure that accountability, recovery of stolen resources, and the restoration of public trust in the democratic institutions. On media and accountability, the ANC Youth League has reportedly fallen victim of sections of the media that fail to uphold proper journalistic standards. Too often, stories are published without accurate research, without offering the ANC Youth League a right of reply. and in a way designed to tarnish the image of the organization rather to inform the public about truth. The Youth League emphasizes that freedom of press is a pillar of our democracy, but with the freedom comes responsibility to practice fair, balanced, ethical journalism. The ANC Youth League calls for the media to report with integrity, to give organizations a fair opportunity to respond and to place the truth above successional and journalism one-on-one. Our movement will not be discredited as a derail by distorted narratives, and we reaffirm our commitment to speaking directly to young people and communities about our resolution and program of action. On the popular culture and the creative industry, the NGC recognized the critical role of popular culture in shaping the values and inspiration and identity of young people and the youth resolved. Organize and unite creative industries to ensure artists are fairly represented and protected. Fight against exploitation of contracts and abuse of record labels that strip young artists of ownership. Promote music and film and fashion and sports and digital content that creates creation as a vehicle of economic empowerment. Encourage a culture of pride, innovation, and African identity in resistance of colonial and capitalist domination. On digital liberation and data costs, the ANC Youth League welcomes the Parliament Portfolio Committee of Trade and Industry and Competition in raising an urgent concern about data expiry and the high cost of data. The ANC Youth League reaffirms that access to affordable, reliable data is a necessity in a digital age, not a luxury. Young people are unfairly excluded from education, job opportunities, and economic participation when data remains prohibitively expensive and when unused data unfairly expires. The Youth League calls for an urgent regulatory intervention to ensure affordability in unkept and accessible data for all South Africans, particularly the youth, as a part of a broader struggle for digital liberation. On economic transformation and non-negotiable demands, the NGC reaffirms that South African economy remains fundamentally untransformed. The ANC Youth League will not allow a handful of elites to monopolize the country's wealth while millions remain in poverty. Therefore, the NGC adopted non-negotiable demands that guides our struggle. Exploration of land without composition as one of them. Nationalization of commanding heights of the economy, which are mines, banks, state entities, must serve the people, not capital. One People's Bank, a merger of Post Bank and African Bank into a strong state bank. Protection of township economies from foreign exploitation. Beneficiation of minerals. Only 30% of exports, with 70% processed locally to create jobs. Digital liberation. Free access to AI advanced digital tools for all South African youth. Buildings, people's state. The guarantees of education, health, and housing and sanitation as a basic service, as a birthright, not a privilege. Those are demands that the Youth League have put forward. On international balance of forces, the NGC assessed the shifting of global landscape. As the Western dominance declines, Africa must leverage its mineral wealth and industrial capacity. No iPhone exists without Congolese copper belt. No fuel-efficient car without South African platinum. The Youth League stands in solidarity to the people of Palestine, Western Sahara, Sudan, Cuba, Venezuela. We further call for BRICS to advance a single currency and a visa-free travel to strengthen the Global South cooperation. Justice for Nkateko. The NGC demands for the late Nkateko. The NGC demands justice for the late Nkateko, who was brutally murdered en route to the General Council. His death is not only an attack to his family and comrades, but on the youth itself. We demand the law enforcement to urgently bring its killers to justice. On an early conference resolution and unity of the organization, the NGC resolved that an early conference must be convened to consolidate unity, renewal, and leadership mandate, and strengthen the organization ahead of the critical struggles ahead. Above all, the NGC declared that The unity of the ANC and the Youth League is non-negotiable. The ANC remains the only asset owned by black people, and the Youth League will fight in defense and rebuild it. The National Executive Committee will convene urgently an urgent meeting to decide on the date and venue for our early conference. In conclusion, the Second General Council has renewed a spirit of the ANC Youth League. We left Kimberley more united, more militant, and more determined than ever to champion the struggle of young people. We commit ourselves to build a power. We commit ourselves to build a power in communities, workplaces, and campuses, and the streets until the pillars of inequalities and exploitation are collapsed. The ANC Youth League stands ready to lead a youth of South Africa into a new era of economic, social change, and national renewal. Thank you.